because I do 1,300 crunches and sit-ups 4 times a week.
What's a dose? Can you translate for us?
Winner of the gold medal and the champion golfer of the year is Ernie Els.
This is the Goats Track, the podcast about golf and golf adjacent stuff, mostly from Africa. The Masters is over. We are sitting here, going to break it down, kind of the week that was. We'll talk about kind of the events in general, do a little post-mortem on our draft picks that we did before the week, touch a little bit on the South African performance. I say that in inverted commas. And chat a little bit about what else we have got brewing at the Go Track. Sitting here with JDV and Hoff. JDV, lovely to see you. Give me your thoughts on the Masters event. What were some big takeaways for you?
How's it, gents? Hoffman, hello there as well.
Hello, JDV.
Obligatory red knob joke,
hello,
just to
Hoff.
get us going.
I won't respond to it this time.
Honestly, it's fading a little bit, eh?
Yeah.
Slightly orange knob now.
As long as it's not blue.
Yeah, look, I mean, I quite enjoyed it. I liked the, I don't know if it had to do with, again, how it showed out on TV, and I mean, I can't believe this is my opening take, but the colors seemed a little bit different to years gone past. What the course looked like or how it showed on TV, it just looked a little bit patchy, a little bit crispy. Guys putting from off the green a lot. I sort of made a comment that it was starting to look like VCC around some of those greens, and I thought that made for quite an interesting watch. To see the Masters in a slightly different condition.
Hashtag Augusta's a Go Track.
But again, like genuinely, you could see them sometimes playing with the color ratio on the broadcast, and I was like, God, sometimes it feels like I'm watching this thing on shrooms, because like it goes like bright green, then it like fades out to not so green, and yeah. So I suppose my opening comment from the reactions was seeing a bit of a different course this year.
Yeah, I actually have like an input on that, because I kind of actually really enjoyed seeing that. Like I'm kind of done with the sort of this perfect green oasis, because it is a bit of a facade, and like, you know, obviously you guys know me, I love my golf architecture history and all of that stuff, but this week I actually spent quite a bit of time looking at old photos of when Augusta was designed and that. It is completely different golf course to
super ropey
to what Alistair McKenzie designed. And I mean, Jacques, I know you said you wanted to chat about that little piece I put together, Alistair McKenzie and the Boer Wall, which was just very interesting to do. But yeah, looking at those old photos, it had like some like raw character, the golf course. You know, Mackenzie's bunkers had these like fingers, and there was like longish grass here and there, and
quite a few tufts.
Yeah, look, some of that stuff is obviously, it was just growing in and that, but like obviously the way it's gone is a few other architects have got their hands on the place, and this sort of very, very green perception. Look, it's a beautiful place, and I love the flowers, and I love all of that stuff. I don't love the bunkers at Augusta. Like, to me, they went away from those like interesting, unique, like different shaped bunkers with fingers and all that stuff. They all look very kind of oval and perfect. I know that they're absolutely perfect, the sand and that, but I quite like seeing a little rough around the edges, a little bit of burnt out grass here and there. Obviously, you know, sometimes that's just got to do with the weather. You know, like the weather building up this year was a lot drier. In previous years, it's just been super overseeded.
Brings in a bit of the rub of the green, which is, I mean, I love it. It's an aspect of golf. It's an aspect that we deal with week to week. Is, you know, not perfect condition, so you can't plan for every single eventuality.
I mean, let's
shot.
be honest, it's not like it was...
No, it wasn't a go track.
like, there was never a case where the guys were like, I need to take a drop here because there's GUR, you know, like, and, you know, the greens...
Shout out Hartong Lee. Let's take free drops in the
Well,
in the
besides
bushes.
Hartong, yeah. But the greens, I love the different, like, coloration on the greens, and I know there were a lot of people who thought that they didn't go hard enough, that they should have, like, really dialed it up. But I don't really think that's what the Masters is about. I think that's more of the US Open's identity.
Yeah.
So I liked seeing that slight luck variation. I think there was some other stuff on TV which showed maybe a couple of cracks here and there in the Masters, and that's one of my sort of talking points is there's been some discourse this week outside of the Masters about are the Masters heading in the right direction. But there were a couple of things on the TV broadcast which showed a few cracks. I mean, there were a few shot traces that were Liv-esque, reminded me of Liv's early days. I don't know if you guys saw that shot tracer of Justin Rose's approach on the 13th. But, I mean, you saw that on TV. Everyone watching around the world thought that ball was well right of the creek. And it ended up almost landing in the hole. So, yeah, Hoff, what was your take for the week?
Yeah, look, it's always Masters Week is always a good week, and I think you guys mentioned how hard do you go, how early, and I went pretty hard pretty early, to be honest, but it was an intentional decision, and to your point, yeah, I think there is a lot of discourse around it, and I think it's for a reason about, you know, is it becoming a little bit Disneylandy and that kind of stuff. I know the NLU guys have been talking about it, and some of the directions, if you will, that they've taken in the par 3 with the celebs and all of that. I think for me, the par 3 contest and all of that, I mean, it is a bit of a Disneyland thing, so just let it be. That's not what the Masters is. I don't really enjoy watching the par 3, to be honest. I
don't think it's for us.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
I was about to say that, and you can watch it for 5 minutes, and you've basically got what it is. It's a little family thing. It's great to see the guys being a little bit human and all of that kind of thing. But like, I've got no interest in seeing Jason Kelsey or Kevin Hart trying to caddy or play or whatever they were trying to do, make people laugh. Didn't seem like they did a very good job at that, but I wasn't really watching it too intensely. But as you say, it was more the broadcast stuff that has people a little bit worried. But to the golf course discussion, what JDV was saying with the colours, that was something I think a lot of people picked up. I picked it up very quickly, where I was like, "Jeepers, that's very patchy over there." Which, yeah, I mean, it can go either way. I think one of the things about the Masters is how manicured it is and how perfect it is, but where maybe they're giving us a little bit of insight into where it's actually real and where it's actually just a facade. I would prefer them to be real and just go like, we're not going to spray paint that or whatever they do to try and make it perfect.
But I think that's genuine. I think they genuinely
I think
do
so.
spray paint something.
it's like in the Truman Show, you know, when that light falls from the sky and lands next to Jim Carrey. It's like, whoa, okay, what's that?
So yeah, I think that gives it a little bit more interest. I think it's very Americanized in the way that they manicure and everything's perfect and all of that, but that's what the Masters is. But does it go too far? Maybe. I mean, I would like to see it dialed back a bit, but in general, like, I think as an addition, obviously it's difficult to compare it to last year with all the hype around Rory and that, but I think overall, as like an addition of the Masters, it was up there. It wasn't as good as last year, but it was definitely, you know, better than many of the last years in the last 10
It kept
years.
me away. I mean, it for a South African, you know, when the leaders are teeing off on a Sunday at like 8 o'clock, you know you're in for a long haul. You're like, okay, I'm going to have itchy eyes tomorrow. And it's, if there's a runaway victory, like, you know, with Rahm and with Scotty Scheffler, I'll be honest, I fell asleep on the couch because you like, there's not really much like anticipation.
I think this one there was enough intrigue from
Kept you
our
awake.
perspective where there were likable players, and when I say likable players, I mean the non-Americans. And then in there were some horrible Americans,
Some villains,
where you like, please, can this guy not win? You know.
So that was one of my requests. Remember, JDV on the preview pod, is I basically said, like, I just want it to be a fun back nine, and I wanted some villains, and I wanted some heroes, and yes, we got that.
I think you got that, Joe.
I mean, we totally got that. I mean, I think my final like big takeaway was just very glad that somebody with the first name of Russell isn't a Masters champion. Because I just feel like, and shout out to all the Russells out there, no offense, just doesn't feel like a Russell should win the Masters. We might have to check the records to see if any have. But that was a bit jarring. When Russell and to be honest, Tyrrell Hatton, when they started coming, I was like, okay, boys,
I think there were
Scotty, Rory, Rosie, time to do your thing.
There were a few there, T-Bag. There was Cam Young's definitely one of them. Sam Burns was a huge concern. And, I mean, when we played last week, I know you were like, don't worry, he'll cascade down. He stayed up there for a lot longer than I thought he would, which was
Sunday. He cascaded down
finally. Yeah. But as he was cascading down, so was Russell Henley coming up. And then for me as well, Jason Day was just nasty to see.
I think we've seen it in years before when we've seen like Cantlay coming up the leaderboard and that. And it's one of the great things of having watched so many Masters now is that you've just got to like hold the line like with your emotions. You just got to be like, boys, don't worry. It's like the heroes are coming. Don't worry.
Because the Charlie Hoffman situation,
especially the guys who like 4 or 5 groups earlier.
Yeah.
And because what happens is the guys get to 13 and 15 sooner. So yes, there are birdies and stuff that are made, and the other guys are still on the hard part. They're still like in aiming corner 9, 10 and that. So it always happens like that where you're like, oh my word, is this the year? And obviously, a few rats have slipped the net in like if you go down the last 20 years. But in general, I mean, if you look at the winners from the last 6-7 years, it's been super high quality. So and we got another one of those. So I was just thrilled that, and honestly by the end I was like, I mean, at one stage I thought this is definitely a Rory Scotty playoff. Like I could see Rory's slow car crash coming, and it was just a case of did he have enough shots in the bank. I think that up and down on 17 was huge. The fact that he had 2 shots standing on the tee box, although he hit his tee shot like he had a 2-shot lead. He was like, oh, I've got 2 shots to burn here. But it was it was super entertaining. I mean, I think it's the only major out of all the American ones that I generally do stay up for. I can't think of years previously when I stayed up for.
Pinehurst was with the Rory Bryson
showdown.
Yeah,
I stayed up for that. I mean, that probably had a lot to do with Rory, to be honest. I found myself kind of, I think like you guys, I really wanted Justin Rose to win, and I really thought that after last year with Rory finally getting over the line and that I would start sort of backing other guys. I just couldn't help myself also supporting Rory. Like I just am a big Rory fan.
I think once he fell back, you automatically sort of feel that you're behind him.
Yeah.
And you're like, come on. Now you can sort of throw caution to the wind here a little bit more.
I mean, he's just such a like a tough player to watch and support that you kind of, or the Masters kind of needs Rory in the mix every year because it's going to be electric.
Anything. He can like eagle a hole, birdie a hole, or he could double bogey any hole at the same time.
It's awesome.
But Hoff, I think you need to also just admit to your Justin Rose, Sergio Garcia allegiances there.
Yeah, look, I think a lot of people, I've always liked Justin Rose. I think there's a lot of people out there that haven't always liked Justin Rose, that have come around to Justin Rose now with, following kind of all of his heartache. And he's always been in the mix against people where, like, if last year it was a playoff against Sam Burns, well, guess what? We're all supporting Justin Rose. But it's Justin Rose versus Rory McIlroy trying to win the flipping Grand Slam, and 2017 Masters was very similar to that, where Justin Rose had his US Open in the bag and was in a playoff with Sergio, as we know, and everyone was, I think most people was behind Sergio because he was trying to win a major and he had a lot of heartache. But this whole thing and watching Sergio year after year, and especially at this Masters as well, I'm like, super offended by myself that, I supported Sergio Garcia in that 2017 playoff.
Over Justin Rose.
Over Justin Rose in particular, but I think, there's a number of people in hindsight now that I would not be supporting.
Was it because Sergio bought your heart because you had one of his old golf clubs?
It is a bit of a conflict. So yeah, that's probably a valuable point. But yeah, just what a petulant child, and he just does it again and again, and he doesn't seem to care. I don't know if you saw his interview afterwards, where like the guys were obviously pressing him for.
No, he was like bullish. He was bullish about it.
He was like, next question.
But you know what? It also struck me like of someone. That end of round interview really pissed me off, because he was just like, I don't give a shit. It's almost like, I'm going to be here forever. I'm a Masters champion. What are you going to do about it? Yeah. And when I was watching that, I was kind of like, man, I wish Rose had won like that playoff going back, not just because for Rose, but just to like that Sergio had that like, oh, I'm the greatest player to have never won a major. I kind of wish that had happened. But it'd be interesting to see what the Green Jackets might have a Sergio problem.
Yeah, 100%. But I just think it's like so different. Like you see guys throwing their toys out the cart every now and then, but with Sergio, it's so intentional, or there's so much intention to do damage. You know, like he smashed a hole in the tee box, put his foot on it, and walked away. There was no like, okay, can I help or whatever. You know, there's that clip of. Who is that guy that smashed the sprinkler head and it started, you know, at least that guy was standing on it and like trying to do something about it. Adam Hadwin. You know, with Sergio, it was like, I'm going to dig a hole in the ground, I'm going to break my club on something, and then I'm just going to walk away.
But it's also not the first time. I mean, didn't he like spit in a hole? He's like hacked apart a bunker.
He's dug in bunkers. Yeah. He really is a petulant child.
I think we need to
stop talking about Sergio.
Start looking at our predictions that we had. Hoffman, you weren't obviously part of that preview pod, but had a chance to listen to it. So feel free to tear us apart in some of the predictions. I'm going to start by taking a little bit of a victory lap. I feel like I'm the only one who stood up for Rory when you guys were letting him go by first, second, third. I think I got him on like the fourth or fifth. I got him fifth round. I think he was the last player to be picked in the snake. I think it was you or Dimmy said he's absolutely going to fall apart. The guy ended up.
That definitely wasn't me. I didn't think that.
Yeah, you were pretty shunned for that.
And then
decision. You also shunned on Patrick Reed.
I was shunned on Patrick Reed. He also came out firing. I don't think you guys were having too much of a go whether he was going to perform or not, as whether you wanted to support him or not.
That was Dimmy as well. I had Patrick Reed in my golf champs team. I knew he was going to do well.
Look, I had a massive whiff with Bob Mack. I was very bullish on Bob McIntyre.
Another one who went close to
doing well.
The rules with some obscene gestures and that kind of stuff.
Also, like some Sergio tendencies starting to show their head. Just, I think watch the space with Bob Mack, especially as he starts performing at a much, much higher level, which he is. He's going to be in some big spots.
I also think he doesn't have a very good relationship with American golf fans. And he started early with that. And there's a lot of Europeans that don't.
Colin Montgomery, Scottish.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that don't, but they manage it a lot better than he does. He's kind of like quite bullish about it. And I think that might make it difficult, considering he plays all of his golf in the PGA Tour, 90% of his golf.
But yeah, so I thought I'd call out the Bob Mack, a bit of a whiff by me there. I honestly convinced my dad and my butts on our betting account to put a bunch of money on him. That didn't age well, but it aged better than my dad, who was very bullish on Eldrick Potgieter, where I said to my dad that you're basically pissing away 100 Rand there with a guy who might hit it a mile, but has not really the touch, I think, around the greens, which you need at the Masters at Augusta. I don't know if you want to chat about him, and maybe that opens up the conversation to South Africans' performance this year in general. 3 South Africans in the field, Charles Schwartzel, the only one making the cut, and then finishing last of the players making the cut. But obviously Casey Jarvis not making the cut, and Eldrick Potgieter, I think he was pretty much last out of everyone, including the amateurs, including some of the Balis that were playing.
It was ugly, yeah. I mean, it wasn't that he battled. He was borderline the laughing stock after the first day. I mean, I saw him skull one.
He
shot 84, bro. and he thinned a wedge on the
I saw
first
that.
hole, almost like hit a few people. Like it was properly ugly. It wasn't just like, okay, the Oaks having a couple 3 putts in here. Aldrich would not have been a pick for me at all. Like he definitely has some massive amount of work to do with like his short irons, like his feel around the greens, and him standing with a wedge in hand is like a little bit jarring how bad he is. Like if you look at the average PGA player, like, and obviously Aldrich has got that massive loud skill of driving, which is mostly boosted by his distance. I mean, his accuracy can be a little bit all over the show, but when you're hitting at 30-40 yards past other people, but yeah, it like his iron play is like really shit. Like at the moment, I'm just saying, obviously he has one. He obviously has the ability to do it in the right weeks.
But just the right courses.
The right weeks are like the Rocket Mortgage Classic.
Yeah.
And
no, but sure, but
Sanderson Farms.
You still like it doesn't matter what. Like I know Oaks mock those lower tier PGA Tour events, but they're still filled with like top
100%,
players. Like
100%.
And so to win one of those is still it still shows that you've got that game, but clearly there's a consistency issue. Now, he changed to PXG this year. Like he's done a whole sweeping change. Look, the guy's only 21, so I think we have to give him some time. I mean, there's definitely supreme talent there. But what I wanted to say to you guys and JDV, I think we've kind of been through the top of the leaderboard and that. Obviously, it was a great event having those villains rising and falling in that. But on the South African side, what does the number 54 mean to you guys in golf these days?
Live.
Yeah.
So it does. Yeah, you're right. 54 synonymous with live. Guys, can I also tell you that it has now been 54 majors since the South African has won a major.
Wow.
I looked that up earlier today. Shout out Gemini AR.
I thought you were also going to say
right.
that was the position that Charles Schwartzel came. South African coming 54th. So
did he?
Yeah.
Shout out to Liv. Did he come DFL? Was he?
No, or DFL. A lot of the guys who made the cut.
Well, okay. So maybe there was a Liv incentive there for him to try and come in that 54th spot. Maybe that's in their contracts. Like if you come 54th, you can put it on your social media post. But guys, 54 majors is quite a lot. As a proud sporting nation. And I sent you guys that list about the number of major winners from different countries, the breakdown of major winners by country since 2007. I think another great thing, honestly, about Rory winning this is that it's just not another American winning a major, because that list is, and for those who haven't seen it, I will read that out very quickly. But basically, guys, since 2007, we have 43 majors to the US, 12 to Ireland. Shout out Rory.
And Shane.
6. Shane with 1.
1. Yeah.
Jeez, who else is in there?
Padraig.
Poddy, Graham McDowell, snuck 1. Okay. I mean, mostly Rory. And 4 to South Africa. And then after that, it's, 3 to England, 3 to Australia, 3 to Spain. But another major not won by an American, which is great, but also another major not won by a South African. It's pretty dire, Oaks. I mean, we're talking now. We've only 15, but 14 years.
But here's the
Charles, eh? Was Charles the last one?
Ernie
was the last one. Also 2012.
2012, the Open.
But that's for me. That's a lot of the South Africans.
Like a whole generation of golfers who haven't won.
But that's South Africans playing live and destroying their world rankings to get into the majors. I feel, because we had 3 players playing in the Masters. And again, unless the guys are qualifying in, there's not that many South Africans playing on the PGA Tour, which is where the guys are getting the majority of world ranking points. Like honestly, I think a lot of the issue of South Africans and maybe international players not winning the majors as much as possible. Maybe I need to look at the stats on this, but I just feel like there's more Americans playing the majors, and there's certainly less South Africans than usual playing those majors.
I think there's also a lot of big non-American names that have gone to live that can't get into those majors as well, and that is helping the Americans that maybe wouldn't have got in the OWGR that are getting in, and obviously the more that they have there, the better their chances of winning. But I think it's still going to be a while for us, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like I think we've got the golfers coming through that can do it, but it's going to take time. I think Casey Jarvis and that is he's a great golfer. Do I think he's going to be a major champion? Well,
Maybe.
no, I don't. I'd love him to become a
Jaden
major
Shaper.
champion. Also, like I don't know. Maybe I'm too much of a stuck in the now, but like for me, it's more about the generation after those guys that are currently coming out of the American system and all of that probably have the
Christian
best
Maas.
chance.
Christian Maas. Yeah.
Christian Maas is kind of the name that I'm like leaning on here. To be like, come on, dude, like you're our hope here. Like,
Were you proud of me for picking him as in my South African players draft? Did you listen to that podcast?
probably. I mean,
I was actually. I think I gave you a shout out on the pod because I was like, this is definitely a player that Hoff would have picked because I picked him as an amateur in my.
I had him on the
players
next, and
draft.
you picked him, and I was like, no one's going to pick Christian Maas. And then Terence picked him, and I was like, shit, I've got no backup here. I don't know who I'm going to pick next.
I think he's the real deal, to be honest, and I think he's probably our best chance outside of someone coming out of left field.
But again, there's always the question marks of the converting from amateur to pro, and that's still unanswered. There's so many guys that come out of college, and you hear these golf media guys talking about them. This guy's going to be crazy and up there, whatever, and they just become middle of the road.
But there's
PGA
even
tour
guys that have made that jump into the professional game. I'm not talking about just South Africans here. I'm saying in general. I mean, look at a guy like Justin Thomas. I mean, you can see that he's an unbelievable golfer. I mean, he's won tons of PGA Tour events. He's won what?
2 majors.
One, it's a half and a half makes one because it's 2 PGA
PGAs.
championships. But like that just has fallen away completely. Jordan Spieth is probably a better golfer than Justin Thomas is, but still, like I think to your point, it is difficult, but. Like I don't think I think our run of not having major champions is only going to continue. The best chance that we possibly have is at the Open, as opposed to like the American majors. But I think our run is going to continue.
So Hoff, have a look at Data Golf. They've got an interesting, they've got a world map, and it talks about players' performance, and it sort of shows the countries. And it has them in, it measures their performance in majors relative to where they sit. And South Africans are like standout nation in terms of they always perform better than average in the British in the Open.
Just in the Open, not in the other.
Correct.
Majors, yeah.
And it's so funny because it's like bright as like an outlier that South Africans play better.
I think you've seen that in the Amateur Open as well. Like our guys have done really well in the Amateur Open. Maybe they just know that we can actually watch the Open from the first tee shot to the second because it's during the day.
We tend to have a lot more participants.
Entries.
Yeah, because we get a few more pathways, and then guys go and qualify as well.
But this isn't relative to participation. This is relative to like individual players scoring average. So all the South Africans lift their game at the Open relative to their ordinary scoring average.
Interesting. I think
and more so than other countries.
I think your point about live is a good one, JDV, and it was my biggest bummer about live, to be honest. Where I was like, we came off a couple of years there where like Louis finished second in 2 out of the 4 majors. He was up there. A guy like Dean Burmester, look, he has had some major starts since going to live, but there's definitely something about live that hasn't translated well for a lot of players who've gone there. Let's be honest. Like the whole thing of
on the major side,
on the major side,
majors, yeah.
Like Steele, Sharp, and Steele. Bryson's the only one who's really bucked that trend.
Oh, I think the leader of that group of guys that haven't done well is Cam Smith. He's fallen off a cliff.
John Rahm has been disappointing. Neiman, the majors that Neiman's played in, he hasn't played that well. Dean Burmester hasn't played great in the majors.
Look, I think from a South African perspective, Dean Burmester is probably the biggest bummer for us because I think he has. I don't know if he has the potential at the Open. I don't know if he has the game for that. But he probably, like, the PGA Championship is probably something that suits someone like him, like a big bomber and that kind of stuff. So I think that's probably the biggest disappointment is. But maybe he'll work his way up to get the points to get in there. But I think it's going to take time because guys can't just pitch up at a major and perform. I mean, look at the Masters. You have to play at Augusta again and again and again and again and again.
That's the whole thing with majors.
Yeah.
It's like doing reps, and there's no doubt that, like, even when they had the PGA last year at the place that Rory always wins at now, it's completely escaped me.
Quail
Hollow, thank you. They set it up differently to like how they set it up for PGA Tour. It was a major, like it was more of a major setup, you know, and like Burmese kind of shut the bed there. So like it's like, are the Oaks on live, like, you know, there's some guys, the South African guys who like mailing it in, like Louis mailing it in now on live. I think he's kind of, his competitive days are probably behind him. And please prove me wrong, Louis. But I think Schwartzel, like, is, you know, is still supremely talented Oak, and obviously he plays at Augusta. I don't see Charles winning another green jacket, but like, yeah, it's just like having those reps on difficult golf courses, which you don't really see a lot of those like on live.
Well, I think Australia has the same problem as us, because all of their like big names are going to live,
on live,
stuck in live,
same
whatever
problem.
the case
Same
may
issue.
be. You know,
all their best players.
Yeah. So I think it would be interesting to see out of South Africa and Australian golfers, like, who's next to win a major.
Sorry, just
who is next?
but T, can we just
maybe
get
Adam Scott?
Yeah.
Can we get something from you? I know you and Demi were glazing Bryson again. You picked him. You said apologize to Demi for picking him. And yeah, anyway, Bryson missed cut.
Yeah, we did. I think we did glaze him a bit. What do I have to say about that? I was genuinely very surprised how poorly he played. Like, I think I did mention on the podcast that I had some questions around his wedges. And like, remember I asked Demi, I said, Demi, does that
tinkering?
Like, and he, I think his answer was right. He's like, when is Bryson never like tinkering, you know? Which is fair. I just, some of the things he said at Live when he was talking about, like, I was so surprised when I hit a good wedge. I was like, that doesn't sound like a great prep for Augusta. But yeah, so I was, but the Oak is he wants to win that golf tournament. Like, the guys asked him this at Live. Like, I think he was, you saw it in his post-round interviews. He was pissed off with himself, which is great. Like I love to see that. And look, it happens. You have a bad year. I think if you go look his last 2 years, he's played pretty well at Augusta. Going further back than that, he's got a bit of a checkered history. I mean, I think he took something like 10 rounds to break 70 at Augusta, which, you know, tells you something. So, yeah, just a miss. Sometimes you just have a miss.
I would say the way that Bryson missed the cut was, I mean, he was almost three in the bunker.
He did triple the 18th.
The 18th was like from out of nowhere. I thought. I mean, especially where a bogey would have made the cut if he had made a bogey, and just inexplicably, and I don't know, like, I don't want to say nerves because I don't know how you get nervous, you know, someone like Bryson, but maybe like the weight of expectation. But it just didn't. It looked out of sorts, you know, that he missed the cuts in that manner.
There does seem to be a concentration thing with Bryson where he can inexplicably hit like 3 or 4 bad shots in a row. I've seen him do that before at other tournaments. And obviously he did that in that bunker. Look, hard shot, water behind the green, all of that, sure. I mean, but at the end of the day, you know, it's three in a bunker is a tough scene if you're not playing it like the Open in like a, you know, a pot bunker somewhere. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was surprised, but yeah, I mean, it happens. Eh?
Well, let's go to enlisting in the SANDF.
Yeah. So just run us through sort of who won, who lost the players draft.
So the players draft, as we said, the three of us, you, me, Terence, and Demi. So bearing in mind, Dimitri had the first pick. Terence, I think you were somewhat behind the 8 ball getting the 3rd pick. But at the same
Your
time...
lefty did well there.
Yeah.
Considering
Matt
we
McCarty.
didn't know who
Sorry,
he was.
nobody knew he was.
Yeah,
Matt McCarty. Someone to watch going forward.
So JDV, I had Rory McIlroy, Scotty Scheffler, Gary Woodland were mine to make the cut. Akshay and Casey Jarvis did not make the cut. But with Rory...
Akshay was disappointing.
Yeah, he was looking good in the first round and then sort of fell apart.
I had him in my golf champs team, and after the first round, I was like, this is a great pick.
Yeah. Look, I had number 1 and number 2. As I said, you guys let me have Rory. I got Scotty Scheffler on the 2nd pick, which was Hoff. We shouted you out quite a lot there with your Christian Bezuidenhout call.
I heard.
Scotty Scheffler on the 2nd pick and Rory in the last round. 1 and 2 pretty much took me to an unassailable lead. I got $7 million and thereabouts, approximately. Terence, you had Jason Day, Brooks Koepka, Matt McCarty, John Rahm, and Bryson. Only Bryson didn't make the cut, which
consistency.
was probably one of the ones you would have thought definitely was going to make the cut. But you got 1.1 million about.
Happy to not be enlisting.
Dimitri, get his papers in order. He had Hideki Matsuyama, Tommy Fleetwood, Adam Scott, and then big Bob Mack, who was the number 1 draft pick, missed cut, and Cam Smith, missed cut. He made a total of $731. So we will follow up with Dimitri.
It's got to be one of the worst first picks.
We're both you and I were looking at each other. We're like,
I mean, at least when Hoff picked Bears at least did get him some points, like right towards the end of that
I didn't lose that whole series.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly. So yeah. Well done, Dimitri. Will the winnings that he made, will that cover the admission fee to the SANDF? The fast track admission fee.
Yeah, I think
the one where you get to just play Xbox for a year.
So that was, and then we had another game within a game. I think I owe you some wine.
Yes, no.
No, you owe me some wine.
You got that wrong, eh? That was pretty dismal from my side. So I gave you 4 matchups, and
yes.
I to be honest with you, Jock, I thought you were just going to pick one matchup that you really liked. You said I'll take all 4. But yeah, well done. You won 3 of them. You won 3 of them. So and I had some credit with you for one.
Yes.
And you now have credit with me.
Glorious.
Okay. So
and I can take that credit because Jacques owes me.
So these were
actually the winner.
So these were the matchups: Rasmus versus Nicola, Ra versus Riley, Spawn versus Spieth, and Penge versus Casey. I took Rasmus, Ra, Spieth, and Casey, and I think I got obviously Casey wrong. Penge
you
won
got everything
one,
else right.
and I think I got the others all right.
Riley was I think he was literally last.
Yeah, he was.
Riley finished below Angel Cabrera.
No, he finished below Aldrich Potgieter even.
Yeah. Did he have the worst rounds of the? Yeah, he shot plus 18 in 2 days.
He went 82-80.
Shut up.
So he didn't manage to break.
So that is a very bad pick, but I guess it was against
Love
Aaron
to
Ra.
see some of those high rounds though. Love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we happy? We've covered the floor here with Masters content. I just wanted to maybe one thing, and Hoff, you touched on this. There's definitely a bit of discourse around is the Masters losing their way a little bit with, I think there was a lot of chat around the par 3 contest. My feeling around par 3 contest is it's like I said, it's not for me. But I also see the value. I do see the value in it. Like just from my personal experience, my wife and my son, they watched a bit of it and they were like, "This is so cool." It's definitely for them. I don't think they should be having celebrities there. I don't think they should be having activations. I think they need to be a bit careful about who is I think that's a fine line for the Masters there, with some of that stuff. And then I think some of the content, obviously some of the Masters content is always amazing, the social media content and that. There was some stuff where I'm like, no, you guys are crossing the line here with we do not need to see Minwoo Lee the chef. Like we need Minwoo Lee is not a chef, Oaks. We need zero. Like, who is asking for more chef content from Minwoo Lee? Firstly, and secondly, at the fucking Masters, like that was I personally, that was the worst. That was the most offensive piece of content for me of the whole week. Like I was like, this is offensive. And then lastly, I mean, obviously we've never been to the Masters and that, but you know, I think some of the discourses around like, are they losing their way with like the merchandising of everything? Like, you know, it used to be like you go and you buy yourself a Masters hat and a shirt, and now it's
badge.
But now it's become as typically very Americanized. They've got every single type of apparel, like a dog bowl and a baseball and a Christmas decoration.
Egg salad hat.
Look,
So
a dog
those hats were also offensive. That was the second most offensive thing, was the oak and the egg salad hats. And then them actually zooming in on the oak. Like, so there's some stuff there that's happening. I know like the NLU Oaks are talking about Disney-fying in a bit. I'm obviously we haven't been there, so we can't, but just seeing it on TV, like I see the Minwoo Lee thing, I see the egg salad hats, I see the celebrities on the thing, I'm like, yeah, I think you guys need to be careful here because you've got a super unique property and asset, and a lot of it is around the unknown. Like, you know, a lot of it is around like, I don't know if I want to know exactly what it looks like inside every part of the clubhouse, you know? Like, let's have some mystery, you know? So they're obviously navigating that a little bit, and there's no doubt that they'll be aware of, like, you know,
The criticism.
I'm sure they will be. So
I think they've dug
it's
their
just
own
my-
grave a little bit with that, with the merchandising, because obviously there's certain things. I think it's like 95% of Masters merch you can only buy in the week of the Masters at the Masters merchandise store, and so that's created in itself its own thing. Where I think there's people that literally go to the Masters to go to the merchandise store.
100%.
And that's a problem that I think is like an offshoot problem. They've created it by trying to be unique and all of that kind of stuff. So, as you say, I think they'll be aware of it. And, you know, if it does start affecting the way the tee boxes look, and when I say tee boxes look, I mean the galleries around the tee boxes, then I'm pretty sure that committee will make the necessary decision that needs to be made. I mean, they're pretty ruthless with that. So let's hope that that's the case, because, you know, I know that, you know, the NLU guys were saying, you know, it didn't look great. There weren't as many people around the first tee for the ceremonial Gary Player.
Because they're all in the
Ninja
queue
kick
for
and all of that.
the shop. Yeah.
So yeah, if that is happening, it'll be interesting to look back to the year before and the year before that. Then that is disappointing. And yeah, to your point on Minwoo Lee and all of that, I think they are at a bit of a crossroads, and it's going to be interesting to see which way they go. I hope that they will continue to make the right decision for the tournament rather than the right decision for the money side, which that's what they've always done. That's why the food is not expensive. That's why the drinks are not expensive. That's why they don't go all out on the TV rights, so that they can have control to you know, protect their tournament. So let's hope that they are listening to, well, probably not this, but listening to the criticism, and that, you know, it continues in the right direction. I mean, for me, like, the Open is still slightly better than the Masters, just because of what you were saying about the manicuring and all of that kind of stuff. But shit, it's getting closer. Like the Masters, there's just something about it.
No, and it's always a great tournament. Like the event, and like the back nine at Augusta is just, you're playing at the same course. We've got so much muscle memory on, you know, those holes, and so look, it's still like the golf has been phenomenal, and like I love all the traditions and the crowds and all of that stuff, but it will be interesting to see how they kind of look. The other thing that doesn't help is like we're guilty of this doing content around the Masters, but it's like all the other like stuff that gets aggregated at the time of the Masters, you know, around like people literally doing Instagram reels on like what they bought at the Masters, and like, so that sort of shit is not helping their cause either, because people associate that with like masters content, technically they're not like really in control of that stuff, you know. So like navigating the social media algorithms and like that machine, I think is going to be like a challenge for them. But like just we don't need like, so that's why when I saw Minri Lee on like an official masters Instagram thing, I was like, okay, there was a line, and this is it.
You've crossed it.
This is it. I loved all the other content, but like, do not. That was it. JDV, should we talk about what else we've got brewing? I think we've covered the masters.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of interesting things. Maybe just my latest experience with the handicap app.
Yeah, what happened?
This latest block. No, well, firstly, I think let me just say that it looks like some positive developments coming up in terms of an update where we can actually open around on the first screen and put a handicap allowance in.
Allegedly.
So anyway, that remains to be seen when it gets rolled out. I tried to enter around on Friday last week, and I don't know if there was a network issue my side or if it was a network issue their side. But anyway, I tried to load a score, and the screen froze. So I was like tapping the button because the screen had frozen to be like, shit, I can't get this off. Do I close it? Do I open it? Anyway, much to my dismay, when it finally did save the scorecard, I say singular, not plural, it had saved my round 9 separate times in the handicap app.
On the same day.
On the same day. So, anyway, that was...
The funny thing is, you play so much golf that, like, if they looked at that on mine, they'd be like, this is a problem. If they looked at it on yours, they'd be like, no, you played 9 times.
It'll be like, of course, you must have just done like
behavior.
try to break a record there or something. That that was interesting. But yeah, maybe just to say that we are obviously.
Can I just say I loaded my very first score on the new app, and well, I told you that it told me I had to wait for 2 hours. And I felt like that kid who's just had like a big hamburger and then wants to swim.
There is a workaround.
And his parents are like, sorry.
You got to
wait an hour before you swim, Johnny, because you're going to sink to the bottom of the pool. That's what I felt like. I was like, I just want to load my score, man. Like,
so the problem is there's 2 separate ways to load score. You can either create scorecard and load a score that way, in which case you've got to wait for 2 hours, or you can
let me stop you right there. We don't care.
But the one thing is like it was like it's impossible, or like not impossible, but to load a 9-hole score. So guys like my brother tried to load a 9-hole score and also ended up pulling a Guy Hankinson and shooting like the course record at Cotswold for his 47 over 18, which was meant to be over 9. But yeah, still not user friendly, but let's see what the developments in the future are.
I mean, let's just say that we're still getting comments on our Instagram post, which was like a month ago. Someone said the other day, they were like, I haven't loaded a score since the new app was released. So your prediction, which I thought was just outrageous at the time, around the integrity of the South African handicapping system, I think is still in play.
And then, T, obviously you put out a nice piece of content around Alistair McKenzie and just the architecture choices and his links to South Africa, and particularly his links in the Boer War and how he used some of those lessons in camouflage and natural camouflage for golf course design. And I think what I found really interesting was how you overlaid the picture of, which is the creek? Is it the creek on 13 or 15?
Was it the tributary to the
creek?
Spot on. It's the tributary to Rose
Creek.
But
I mean the way that
you would have been thrown off the broadcast.
The way that looks in relation to like an actual to a trench, like one of those trenches, is actually quite striking.
Yeah.
And then so that was good. I'm going to try and do a bit of writing. We're going to try and get the Go Track newsletter emailer up and running a bit more and a bit more content, writing content.
Yeah, I think so, guys. If you do listen to the podcast and we do have a website. There's a Go Track website. You can actually subscribe to our newsletter, which we haven't sent out. Probably hasn't been for like 8 months or something. It's been a long time, but I think we're going to try and put some more stuff out like once a month. Just 3 short articles on a variety of stuff similar to what we talk about on here, but some of it will just be more longer form stuff that we've already kind of covered, I guess. Yeah. So the Boer War thing is up on the website if you want to read a longer version of my 1-minute Instagram video. For those who actually have a attention span longer than a goldfish. There is maybe a little bit more info in the article, but yeah, it is a nice little tie and connection with South Africa.
And then obviously we did the, well, when I say we, I mean Ben did the heavy lifting, but the video that went out with Gowrie where we joined Ben Kopinski, Follow the Bounce. He did a video, a golf vlog of Gowrie, and I thought that was pretty sweet.
I think also just go and follow Ben's stuff because he's going to be doing a lot more golf, like that type of stuff.
And then Hoffman, I think your love of golf is reigniting. I know I love watching Hoff's relationship with golf. It literally goes from like I don't even want to watch golf on TV. I don't want to see my golf clubs to like I've been like I bought 50 swing aids and like.
It has JDV. I think that everyone sort of knows that now, that it's either 100% or minus 100%. But it's a new era for me, so it's interesting. I love tinkering, even though it's never done any good for me. In fact, it's definitely done worse. But you'll be pleased to know, Teabag, that I've moved away from YouTube videos, and I'll very shortly be looking like that guy in that one meme that's got like the pool noodles all around him. So I've ordered a stack of training aids, which is going to be interesting to see how it plays out. So it's a little bit of like a deep dive that I'm doing into whether these things are all just a similar point to the YouTube coaching, where it's like, is this just snake oil stuff? Is this just snake oil salesman and that kind of stuff? Does it actually work? So the one part of that is the training aids. So I've got a whole lot of training aids on their way. They should be arriving this week. So that's going to be super cool to see.
This is the best day ever.
I will take some photos, don't you worry.
JDV has said that he wants us to go to the driving range so he can film me and defame me on social media.
Did you get that hip connector thing where it connects your right arm to your
That's
hip?
one of them that I've got.
Yes.
Sparky
So
balls.
That thing has been flooding my algorithm lately.
So I looked at one video. Next thing flooded. Anyway, it worked. So I've got that one. I've got the.
It looks good for someone who comes over the top.
Correct.
Just
So there's some method to the madness here.
Someone who goes over the top with AIDS.
I've got that big green ball with like spikes that you put between your arms. I've got the ball that Rory apparently uses, which goes around your neck, and then the black ball. I've got a grip teacher that tells you how to grip it properly, and then I've got a hinge teacher, so that goes onto your golf club, helps you hinge.
I like how Hoff's like, it got me, but it didn't get, not one, it's not like one got him, it's like one caught him in a space of vulnerability. He got all of them.
Well, even worse than the ones JD there, because from the significant cups around something like today, the other stuff might arrive next month.
Yes,
but
And by that stage, you're like, I hate golf again. I don't want to see this stuff.
Exactly. So
your dog has chewed half of them.
So as part of the same series, we've obviously, I think we mentioned it before. So he reached out to a coach as well. So we're hoping to do some coaching and to actually interview the coach on the pod, have the coach on the pod. And yeah, I don't know who would want to do that with me, to be honest, because their reputation is severely at stake.
Well, I mean, you can just blame all the training aids and be like, well, what do you want me to do? You've like
but I think it's going to be
all these bad habits.
I think we've spoken about it before, where I've questioned whether these guys actually have any intention to actually like have a proper strategy for you. Like maybe they'll help on this, but not that, but they don't really care. So it's going to be interesting to see after a LinkedIn strategy and then sort of hold them to account with that and see how it works. So yeah, that with the training aids might work against him, to be honest, but I mean,
Are you going to tell him about the training aids?
of course, he might say bring them with and let's see if it helps.
Bring your toys.
So yeah, as I say, I feel
Bring
like
your
I'm
rubber toys.
I feel
to
like
our
I'm going to
first
be
session.
like I'm going to be like that guy with all the pool noodles around him, But
Can we get so there's so much content to get out of this off, but are we going to get a review, like a training aid review?
Absolutely.
And if you do that, then you need to like commit to using each of them for like at least a couple of months.
Me that we've seen with YouTube training videos is that it's not like I chose one. I just watched all of them. which means that even if they did work, like maybe one would have worked. Like
There's
choosing
going to be
one
noise.
guy,
We're not going to know which one.
exactly. So like I've probably got too many training aids, but
Probably.
The interesting thing is that you can't really buy one. It's like all bundled. So it's like,
can
well, why
buy
don't you
one.
bundle 2? And then you look at it and you're like, oh, might as well bundle 3.
People who bought this also bought these 3.
People who bought this one bought another 5 ones that don't work together.
So it's stacked and tilt. It's better.
Yes.
Is it? We'll find out.
Yeah,
So,
there's going to be
yeah.
so much to unpack with this. This is very exciting. I mean, I knew about the lesson thing, but the training aid thing has really piqued my interest. Sure, that was a lot to digest, Hoff. I look forward to getting the first few sort of unboxing. You should do those little videos, you know, the unboxing
Absolutely, you must
videos.
do an unboxing.
Well, it's going to come here. So to our headquarters
there
here,
we
so
go.
we can unbox it, JDV.
Okay, well, JDV, I'm tasking you with
We're going to have a client walk into the reception and be like, what the hell are all these
What are we
sparky rubber balls doing? And you're
on my side is young Tom Morris this weekend, guys. So obviously the Goat Trackers team, defending champions. Quite a big thing when you win the first time you go. We were chatting about it the other day, and we were like, maybe we shouldn't have won like the first one. But it also, I suppose, takes the pressure off. But yeah, flipping excited for that match play weekend. So, I mean, I think I spoke about it last year, but basically we play, there's 7 or 8 teams, I think, of 6 people. And you play Saturday morning foursomes, so that's old shot. But we'll be playing an 8-ball, but obviously only 4 balls in play as a team. But you've got a match going against the other 3 teams. So you could, you got to track you're up in this match, you're down in that match. It's good fun. And then Saturday afternoon we do 4 balls, which is very much just one match. And then singles on Sunday. Singles, you're also playing 3 guys simultaneously. So things can move quickly out there. But yeah, looking forward to it, and it's a good bunch of people who I'll definitely report back on how the Goat Trackers do. We've got a lot of pressure on us to maintain a high finishing position.
Well, surely you should be freer now.
We're freed up, actually.
Yeah,
You're right.
freed
Sorry,
up.
we're freed
Yeah.
up. Although apparently no one's gone back to back. So can we do a Rory? I think the great thing, just maybe rounding this off with the Masters next year, I heard the guys talking about it on another podcast this morning, is if you think Rory's freed up for next year's Masters, well, no one's ever won 3 in a row. Lead coming down the 11th and 12th holes, starting to think about history and, how's he going to fumble the ball and pick it up again? And yeah, I'm looking forward to that roller coaster. Sure, guys, we covered the board there. If there's nothing else, JDV, let the pod end. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.